So you know what? These are a few of my least favorite things. I hate sanding. Oh well, it is what it is. All I gotta keep doing is telling myself, hey, at least I'm not, oh, I got the blink of death. Means my battery's going dead. Can't have that. Anyway, I just keep telling myself, at least I'm not on a roof today. It's like 95 degrees, it's hot up here, so imagine what it'd be like on a metal roof. So that makes me feel a little bit better about sanding drywall. Maybe later we'll get Matthew painting if he'd ever show up. So I heard of a rare sighting today. We have to go and look at this. You never see this happen. Look. Look. Matthew's working.
Yeah. It's a rarity.
See, even he says so. Nah. He's just the afternoon crew, that's all.
Yeah.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. As long as you get the job done, I don't care what time you come or how late you stay or anything like that. Easy to get along with. As long as the job gets done, we're all happy. Right?
Yep, something.
Just have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy what you're doing.
Stay hydrated.
And you never work a day in your life. That's what they tell me, but I'm here to tell you it's a lie. So what are you doing, Matthew?
Put primer on these walls so we can eventually paint them. And once we get primer on these walls, they'll look like in there.
So we got this room done. Now, when you look at it in the camera, I still see it's funny because it really shows up all the joints. And yeah, in real life, I can't see it as clearly. It covers some of it, but basically primer's like watered down paint in my book. But you know,
pretty much.
Yeah,
that's all it is, really.
But you got to do it. Actually, when that dried, that ceiling don't show the seams like.
Really?
Yeah. But I will say that I took that pole sander. You can't even really see it from here, but there was, maybe the camera's picking up. There was a line. Remember that line that showed up? We don't know how that really what that was, if it was a roller mark or what. Yeah. I sanded it, and I want you to touch it up with a little more primer. I did both that one. Yeah, there's that one. I don't know if that'll help, but almost looks like it's a butt seam. But it sure looked okay before until it got wet, but I think it's getting better. Oh, that's starting to look a lot better. Cool. It may leave a light little mark, but it looked pretty good.
Did you sand this?
I sanded that one too, yeah. So that helped a lot. That's one thing, at least when you get it in primer, you still can kind of work with it. You can either sand the primer, you can caulk corners afterward, you can actually even touch up the mud if you have to, but that one came out beautiful. But once you paint, it's no real going back too easily. So we were talking about butt seams and taper seams when we were looking at this room and the way it came out when we finished the room. And I didn't hang the drywall, PC did, so blame him. But at any rate, when it comes to butt seams and tapers, so if you look at a piece of drywall, okay, if you get, say, a 4x8 sheet, which that was the only size we can get up here, was 4x8 sheets. So the long side, it has a little bit of a taper on each side where you can joint fill it in with the tape it and joint compound it, and that comes out really nice and smooth. It's really easy to finish that. But the other end, the tops and bottoms, you know, if you want to call it that, they're sharp, straight edges. There's not tapered. And so when you put those up two butt seams together, now you've got flat. You don't have the area to tape and build it up. So you're going to end up with a hump. No matter what you do, by the time you fill it with your tape and your mud, you're going to come up with some kind of a hump that's going to show. And you try to avoid that at all possibility when you're hanging. So like we ended up with one over here in this wall. So we laid the sheets down this way, horizontally. So our taper is all along here. That comes out real nice. But this seam ends up being a butt, so it does have a little bit of a hump there that it's really hard to get that out. I'm not the best at it. I know there's guys that are really good at it. You do really got to float that out a lot and kind of smooth it out. And it looked pretty good, and then when we got the primer on, we kind of see a little bit of a line there, which is crazy because I used fiber fused tape to avoid that. But at any rate,
And fiber fuse is your tape of choice.
That's my tape of choice. So you can only use it on flats. You can't use it in the corners. You got to use paper tape in the corners because it has to fold into a V, you know. But here it embeds itself. That fiber fuse embeds itself so well in there that it like disappears, and so it's real easy. You don't have to build it up as much. You have to build a lot higher when you're using anything like paper. And I don't like the web tape. The web tape, the fiberglass mesh web tape, is terrible. I've seen cracks. We've done a garage. Well, let me rephrase that. The garage was originally done, and it all cracked. And then we took it all out and we put fiber fuse in, and that fixed it. We never had any cracks anymore in that garage. So I definitely like it. We attempted to try a spot like on this handrail over here. That actually primed up with regular surface primer, but the door, he tried that, and I'm not as keen because it is this very glossy paint, and so if you kind of mark it up, you can get it to come off. Didn't really adhere as well. So I think for what we're going to do is buy some bonding primer, and we'll go over all the door jambs and the doors, any like touch surfaces with the bonding primer first. That'll give it the adhesion it needs before we paint, and we'll see about the baseboards. That stuff's pretty expensive, but being that we only have vinyl flooring, we don't have carpet, kind of torn on that one yet. We'll see.
All right, everybody.
I've stolen Dwayne's camera. We're gonna do something real interesting, much more interesting than whatever he's doing today and whatever he's been filming, I can assure you. We're gonna paint, or primer, not paint, because you gotta primer first. My boy Chief, shout out Josiah if you're watching this video, is in Florida currently. So he's not here to see it. He's not here to help me paint. Another thing that I'm making sure is yesterday when I did the ceilings, my brush is 3 inches, so I did about 3 inches below the ceiling line. So it's important that when you do that, you get up to that point where it's 3 inches to the ceiling. So that way you don't have to like run your brush over again just because you like missed some spots up there. So that way you just make sure you're getting everything and you're touching all your bases. And drop cloths are really essential for priming because it's so hard not to fling primer everywhere. And on your face too, apparently. And if you're wondering why I dress like a hobo, it's because I paint. And it doesn't matter how I look. So I'm just gonna get paint all over myself anyways. You may notice I'm trying to like overcut this this primer here. It's because realistically, I want to take a roll and just run like this once I get done, because this is gonna soak it up anyways. I just want to get it primed and ready to go. I'm so in love with you. I'm so in love with you. Love is dead. I'm so in love with you. I'm so in love with you. It's water time. And we get corners. Now these benches are a painter's best friend. You may ask, why are the benches a painter's best friend? Well, because you get much higher range of motion. Also, whenever I use primer, because I'm not usually trying to get too close to stuff, and even if I am, it's, you know, close is usually good enough. I usually use a throwaway brush. So, and these are way lighter than ladders, and they're also nice to sit on. Also, another great thing about this bucket is that it has a magnet right here that your paintbrush can attach to. Another thing that you can do is, a tip of painting is keep your brush clean. Keep your brush as clean as possible. Now, this is a throwaway brush, so I don't care too much, but, whoops. So I don't care too much, honestly. It's pretty okay, but you can see that it doesn't have paint all over the bottom here. There's no like paint all over the bottom. I've kept it pretty clean. This is from being in the bag last night, because whenever you store things, you put them in a bag and you tie it up. Your roller, that'll save you some roller covers and stuff. So this is pretty clean, and every once in a while here, we'll just tilt the camera over here. You want to run your brush out, right? Just run it out. Just really get all the paint that was in it out. Just try to really run the paintbrush out of paint, because sometimes you'll be holding a ton of paint in the brush. Your brush gets a lot lighter because you're not holding so much paint constantly in your hand. And the best way to do this is to, whenever you're dipping your brush in your paint, don't like just shove it in there the entire way. Just like dip whatever you need out, right? And then only beat the brush off with one side of your jar, you know, or the front. You know, don't use the back and the side. You know, just have some designated spots where your bucket is clean, and that'll keep your bucket clean.
I'm so in love with you.
And that's how you prime the wall.
Well, Chucky's doing something. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to move that, Chuck. So here's our where we get over the steps. Just 2 benches and a stretch plank. Look at that, just fit right over the handrail. It's hot. Yeah. So I come out to my truck and I found I have made an error in judgment. Remember the bird? We'll call him Turd the bird. Okay, so he barely got that one because I had a bag on that one. And this morning he was sitting on top of my mirror when I pulled in. I mean, literally, I didn't even shut the truck off and he was already on it and did that. But this side, I didn't have another bag. And that was a bad idea. Well, I know now. I hate to tell Matthew. I told you that bird was full of it. Back on that subject about butt seams, one suggestion I saw a guy do is that he actually took his razor blade knife and he made a taper seam out of a butt. And I've tried that a couple of times. It kind of works. You gotta have a really sharp utility knife and be pretty good at running it, so you don't cut yourself or really mess the drywall up. So that's kind of a skill level there. You guys got any tricks to that to make those look better? Like a 24-inch knife or something, you know, just let me know. Told you it was 95 degrees out.
2 weeks later.
Well, it's Dwayne at Tricks to the Trades again, and I want to guess where we're at. You can see from my mirrors, you hear the bird. Yeah, we're back at the farmhouse. we brought a cat out here. Thought he was a birder, but apparently not. That bird is just still going to town. At any rate, well, I haven't really filmed much here lately. We've done a few things. Started on these steps. I don't know if anybody noticed from the earlier videos, they looked pretty rough, but we had a plan. So this is actually just the flooring from down here. And we're going to put it on the top as well. And we have a bull nose that'll go over the end and trim all this out. And it's already looking better. Just putting that on there. But JR ran out of steam the other day. And you can see we had to fur that out so that it's leveled up with the old bull nose here. So we furred that out, and then he's getting that put on there. And we actually have something we've been waiting for a long time. A working toilet. That's important. Anyway, shout out to my cousin Tim. That was actually his toilet. Brand new. We put it in over there. He didn't like that it was the round toilet. He wanted elongated, so out it came. Put it on, and nothing wrong with it. It's brand new. So threw that in, and if you remember, a little dark on it to get a light, but anyway, I had everything coming in from the side because we changed this up a bit. So I went and put on the supply lines up there at the sink. I like to usually attach my supply lines right to the bottom before I put this top in. Assemble everything. Assemble the drain pipe, put the faucet in, put the supply lines in. You don't have to get up underneath with a basin wrench and change it. Or install it, I should say. But those were only 20 inches and I needed 30. So I got to crawl under there anyhow. And then I got to finish hooking up the trap. I didn't have everything I needed for that. But I'll get that done today. We got a little more light in here. And anyway, this is so much nicer. It seems like this room's almost complete, except for trimming out the door. And then you come out here to this mess yet, but it's coming. But we've got color. Judah. I kind of like this color. I think it's pretty cool. Hopefully the homeowner likes it. He hasn't said anything. He don't seem to care, but I like that. Kind of got that idea based on this one, because this one was kind of a, I don't know, peachy color, I guess you could say. So anyway, I like it. Then we'll probably make the bedroom a little bit of a lighter neutral color, but it's coming little by little. We only get out here a couple of days a week, so it's kind of slow going. Yeah, you got a couple walls primed in here, that's about it. But it's coming together. Just get Mr. Matthew to run that paintbrush and we'll be all right. Okay, let's get to work. Okay, before anybody complains about my comment about the cat and the bird, don't get me wrong, I love birds. I have a bird feeder. Birds are cool. It's just this one guy that I don't care for. He's just causing havoc. So anyway, that's the story there. So let's see if I can get you guys set up here. That's your new favorite friend on a job like this. And there's no room in this cabinet. No good way of getting in there, so flip that guy around so that I kind of go like that with my finger in it lightly just to see which way I'm going with it to tighten or loosen. Flip it over. Oh yeah, okay, it goes that way. I did a job with this one time where this water line went down through the bottom of the cabinet for the vanity. And I can see it was just a line they put in there and it was loose. But you couldn't get in there without tearing the vanity out. And I was like, what's the odds of me snaking this basin wrench down in there and actually getting it to tighten up? It was just enough of a hole through the bottom of the cabinet that it worked great. I was like, wow. You do get one every once in a while. What did I say about the blind squirrel? Oh, it was a little tedious, but better than tearing everything out. All right, flip back guy over. Get on the shoulders. Yes, it's a little bit of an awkward tool, but does the job. Hey, another little thing. That says a little trick on these pipes coming down here. Got a big thick rubber right around there, and I've had sometimes where they leak a little bit later. So what I always do is I tighten them up and let them sit for about 15-20 minutes or so. Come back, retighten it up, and you'll get a little more out of it. Like you see, I got about an eighth of a turn. It wasn't much, but I did get something out of it. All right, that's gonna be the hot. Another little my cousin came up with a thing where I can never figure out hot and cold. You know, you go up to a sink and you naturally just go and turn the hot on. You don't think about it. Well, when I'm underneath or backwards or through a wall, I could never figure it out. So he came up with this little thing. He said, you're out in left field if you think this certain someone was hot. Not gonna say who, but at any rate, that got me. Left field, hot. Hot's on the left. Hey, whatever works for you. Any little thing you can come up with. All right, well, I'm gonna tighten that up. I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna do my trap here. And then we'll check for leaks. All right, I know enough with the bird, but he can't get to my mirrors. I don't know if you see him on my toolbox. He must like the diamond plate now. It's shiny, so I can't even win there. He sounds like a bloody woodpecker. He was up there a second ago. And he gets on top of my box and he's banging away at it. Anybody else experience this? Or is this just me? So here's a trick I've run into. American Standard makes these really nice. I love American Standard. These go right down by your finger tight, and then the caps just pop right on top of them instead of using those bolts. And then you can see this guy is a mile long. When you buy the American Standard ones, the bolts are more shorter like that, and I cut that one off. But this bolt kit was so long. I've tried everything with these to cut them over the years, and what I found actually works the best, if you've got on your multi-tool a blade that is fine, it's for doing like light metals, because that's just brass, so it's not real hard. But problem is the vibrations from your tool will loosen that nut up. So basically I sit there and hold the crescent wrench on and then go ahead and work that and cut that off, and that way that nut doesn't back off and this stays nice and tight, doesn't vibrate all over the place real bad, and you can cut that a lot faster than trying to do it just freehand without it. And I don't know, just what works for me. That's my little trick. And some other manufacturers are starting to come out with better bolts for these. But the old school, you have to cut them. I hate it. You get spoiled when you don't have to do this stuff like that anymore. Okay, back to the drains. That purple stuff gets all over everything. Gets on your fingers and stuff. Make sure you put a rag down before you start gluing and using the primer, because you'll mess up everything. It gets on concrete, you have a really hard time getting it off. But it'd probably clean off here, but why take the chance? So, not the best solution. I was going to come straight out at the bottom here and then maybe put an extension tube, but that's a mighty long extension tube. Plus it gets us so close to the bottom, the trap will be jammed up against the floor here of the cabinet, and then you'll have a really hard time getting it off. So what else can you do? All right, everything seems to be tight. Let's see what happens. That's good so far. Heard it run through. No leaky. Oh, not yet. All right. I always turn them on, and after I run everything, I'll come back and check about 15-20 minutes later. Sometimes, you know, something in the trap or something will start to drip a little bit later. You don't notice it right away. If you just run water and walk away, you're like, oh, everything's fine. All of a sudden, you got a leak. And a lot of times I'll take the screens out. I mean, it's the right way to do it. I've already kind of purged this. Nope, I guess not. I thought I did. I tried to purge it there before I put the supply line on and try to get some air out and any garbage. I did a lot of these lines. So It wouldn't be a lot of garbage getting in. I say garbage, it could be, you know, chunks of iron and stuff like that. So you don't get it clogged up in that screen, but. Well, everything looks like it's good. We'll come back in a little while and double check it and make sure there's no leaks, but it looks good so far. See a professional orc.
Something like that.
I don't know if
I don't know, but he's getting old on this job.
Yeah.
21 years old and he's already got gray hair.
That's what happens when the ceiling's too low.
I would blame the carpenter on that one.
Talk about him or
No.
before that?
No, people before that. We already discussed how we couldn't raise this any higher with the vent fan and the plumbing and the way that all set up. But at any rate, it's coming together. We had a little issue out here with the cats. So I told you we had some cats, and homeowner put them out here with cat food and left the door open. Raccoons come in and made a mess of everything, and it stinks real bad. That's why the pine sol. We got it cleaned up, but yikes. It was bad. I don't want to do that again. I should get hazard pay for cleaning that mess up.